Good afternoon. So Orion is an ASX and Johannesburg listed exploration company focusing on base metal exploration, and we are very focused on a project in the Northern Cape of South Africa. Last month we sold our last standalone gold asset in Queensland in Australia. We sold that to Evolution. We retain a royalty interest in it, but we sold that for $2.5 million. We've got Independence Group as our joint venture partners in the Fraser Range doing exploration for nickel. Independence are busy spending $30 million in the Fraser Range this year on exploration. We're on a free carried interest on a 5,000 square kilometer land package over there with them. And just this morning we announced that Independence have also taken the bold step of taking the first step out of Australia for themselves and have bought a strategic stake in Orion. They took an 11% interest in Orion at 38% premium to market this morning, bought in at 5 cents, and that has catapulted our share price. And the important thing is they have recognized that our project in the Northern Cape of South Africa is one of the most prospective base metal exploration camps in the world, both for nickel and for VMS copper zinc. This slide was done yesterday when we still had a market cap of $47.7 million. Today we closed at a market cap of $65 million. Tembo, our largest shareholder and very, very supportive and strong guys, technically extremely competent private equity group managed here out of London, but they have got teams of geologists, engineers, metallurgists, and obviously David Street is a banker. They are very, very astute people. They have come in, they've been extremely good shareholders, and it is only now 14 months since they came in. Last year at the mining Indaba in Cape Town, I took them to the site the first time. They recognized the opportunity that we had seen. Within 2 months, we had closed the acquisition of the Prisca project, and we had put together a financing package which included some debt so that we could move fast enough over a 12-month period. And in 12 months, together with the acquisition, we have now spent $18 million. We've drilled about 50,000 meters of diamond drilling. We've put out a JORC resource of nearly 30,000 tons of VMS zinc copper, and we have got a project halfway through bankable feasibility study. So the rate that we have actually been able to deploy our capital and the success of deploying the capital really is a testimony to what you can do in this environment in the Northern Cape of South Africa. The board, extremely strong board. Dennis Waddell, chairman, very well known in Australia, was one of the big shareholders in the Sirius nickel discovery and made a lot of money out of that, and he brings the connection with IGO. Myself, somewhere in ancient history, a geologist, and the geologists now chase me away from the site because I just meddle in their business. And supported by Mark Palmer from Tembo, Alexander Haller, also the Haller family and the Silvia Group are a big shareholder in Orion and long-term supportive shareholders. And we have just brought on Mike Hume, who was Lundine's manager for their Iberian operations. We ran VMS zinc copper operations, and he ran intrusive nickel mining operations, sulfide mining operations. So he brings a very specific skill to the board that we need to take this project forward. Operational team, absolutely top-class operational team. We moved into South Africa on a counter-cyclic opportunity. We were the first movers, and we've got that first mover advantage. We've put together one of the largest exploration packages in South Africa. 1,900 square kilometers of exploration ground. Our team are all South African residents. We don't have any expats flying in and out, and we don't have that cost involved. As far as our major project is concerned, the Prisca copper mine, previously called the Prisca copper mine, although now it will probably be Prisca zinc mine. It is probably going to produce about 60% revenue by zinc and 40% revenue from copper. We have put out our maiden resources, and we've put out a resource upgrade. As I said, we are now at 30 million tons of sulfide zinc copper ore. We've done our mining right application, which should be complete by mid-year next year, and then we would like to break ground and go into production. We've got our EIAs underway and the bankable feasibility study underway. Now, we had started the bankable feasibility on an expectation of a 1.2 million ton per annum operation. Now that our resource is reaching 30 million tons, we are starting to revise that up. And realistically, we'll be looking at somewhere between a 1.6 and a 1.8 million ton per annum operation. Project construction hopefully mid-year next year and production by mid-2020. So it's a very rapid development program, and the reason why we can take it through such, that's just the cycle for the mining application, what you've got to go through, and that's why we're fairly certain that we will have it in place by mid-year next year. The mine is pre-developed essentially. So people ask, are we going to redevelop the old mine? Actually not. What we're going to do is we're going to build an absolutely new mine in the old mine's footprint. What we will use though is there is a primary shaft in place down to 1,024 meters. It is an 8.8 meter diameter concrete lined shaft with superb steel infrastructure in place. We have done the engineering inspections and that steel is almost all intact. About 15% of it will need to be replaced. This is an absolutely awesome ore body. 47 million tons extracted from a single big slab of massive sulfide ore. We have now got 30 million tons drilled out over here. It is still open on dip and strike. This ore body is starting to look like a giant. In the geological world, when you get a VMS deposit that reaches 100 million tons, it is classed as a giant. There are only 5 of them in the world. This is the 5th largest one. Every one of the 30 largest VMSs in the world are always in a cluster. These things are clusters of volcanoes that form on an ocean floor. They never form alone. If you analyze the 30 largest ones in the world, of which just on what was extracted historically, this is already ranked at number 28. If you look at those top 30, the sum of the small bodies in the cluster add up to the main ore body. This one is the only one in the world where only the main ore body has been mined to date. None of the discovered satellites, and they are discovered satellites, have actually been drilled out or mined yet. And this is a 90 million tonner. So geologically, on an arm wave, we would think that there's a very good probability of at least another 90 million tons here. This is a very exceptional ore body. There's very good grades. You're looking at about a 6.8% zinc equivalent. If you add the copper and the gold and silver credits, it's a very nice operation, you know, arm waving at the moment on the basis of scoping type numbers. You would look at about a 40% profit margin at just extracting the whole ore body without any selectivity within the ore. As I said, primary shaft in place, decline roadways all to the bottom. The reason why they stopped mining is they didn't run out of ore, but in the early 1980s they were faced with an ore body that was on average 9 meters width. It was going flat. It was going into a sin form at the bottom of the mine. Back in the early 80s, your largest underground dump truck was an 8-yard dump truck. They couldn't mine the stuff. They had a 250,000 ton a month mill that they would have needed to have fed, and they couldn't do it. Obviously, the 1980s in South Africa, the worst of the apartheid era, sanctions, disinvestment, and a whole lot of pressure on capital, and there wasn't capital available to keep this mine going, sink the shaft deeper, put in new rail haulages, and they decided to close it. What they left behind for us, though, is an exceptional ore body. 1 year before the mine closed, they still had 23 million tons of drilled reserve. They've got tar roads in place to the mine site. You've got a landing strip on the mine site. You've got rail to 40 kilometers within the mine site. You've got power, you've got water. We've still got the old mine village with 40 brick and mortar houses and a single quarters accommodation for another 80 rooms. Infrastructure-wise, we are infrastructure rich. It brings our capital costs down and accelerates the development profile on this mine. We have to dewater the shaft from 400 meters. This was a dry mine. It didn't make water during the mining period. What happened is the farmer went and removed the flood control barriers after the mine had closed, and water flooded in, surface water flooded into the mine. It's a fixed volume, it's 8 million cubes of water. We have to pump it out. With existing pumping solutions that are available off the shelf, we can do it in 9 months. We know exactly what we've got to do, and there's ore on face at the bottom over here when we can start mining again. As I said, the shaft is in great condition. We've opened it up, we've permitted, we've inspected the steel work. We sent divers down under the water and we cut out steel and brought it up to show that the steel above the water is in the same state as the steel below the water. The roadways we've opened up down to the water level. There isn't a rock out of place. We opened it up. Within 2 weeks, we were driving down to 400 meters underground. Metallurgical test work. This was only 3 weeks ago that this was coming through, and we will be putting out some update on this shortly. But we are very confident that we can replicate or beat the historical mine performance. They got over 85% recovery on both copper and zinc into separate concentrates. They produced a plus 51% zinc concentrate and a plus 28% copper concentrate. Those are very high grade concentrates. Today, it looks like the optimum for us on a net smelter return basis from the smelters is going to be a 24% copper concentrate and a 49% zinc concentrate. We can get the recoveries and we can beat it. The ore body is great, the infrastructure is in place, but what is starting to become more important is the regional exploration story. And that is why we have got this interest from Independence Group. When this deposit was discovered, everybody went piling into the belt in the 1970s. And suddenly we were in the situation that you had 11 companies and they were exploring. They found 22 other VMS deposits and 14 nickel, copper, cobalt deposits. The nickel, copper, cobalt deposits intrude into the VMSs, and we have just done the first modern exploration since 1986, and we've flown a SkyTEM survey, and we have come out with some of the hottest EM targets that you could want in the world. That is where the interest is on the exploration. So we've got an advanced stage VMS project and a great exploration project. Thank you very much.